So hello everybody, and welcome to a very different type of race day. So under normal circumstances, we would be having all of the staff and students associated with the Embedded Systems project on campus, able to share in the successes of the students with their Embedded Systems project this year. This year has been anything but normal with regard to the delivery of teaching and practical projects. Now, to the students who are on this link, you will be aware of what the project is and what you've been doing. But for the benefits of any guests, I'm aware this has gone out on social media. This is a public link. So there may well be people on this broadcast now who aren't familiar with the Embedded Systems project. So if I could just take a moment to explain that here at the University of Manchester, we have a project that is undertaken by all of our second-year students, and they work in teams to make an autonomous line-following buggy. Now, normally they would be on campus doing this, but obviously with the circumstances we've had this year with regard to social distancing and remote teaching, this has not been possible. Regardless of this, the students have prevailed and have managed to work in teams and remotely with the support of many of the staff here at the university to develop their autonomous line-following buggies. And whilst the students can't be with us here today, we are here to demonstrate their success and also to showcase what they have achieved this year in some very, very tough circumstances. Now, I'd like to stress that this is not assessed here today. Okay, the race is purely here for fun. All the assessment for the practical aspect of this project has taken place. And on Wednesday of this week, we had our first, our qualification stage for the race here today, where all of the 44 groups had the opportunity to test their buggies on a specially constructed track. And the fastest 10 times, have qualified through to the race here today. Now, the groups knew what to expect for the track that they were doing on Wednesday. That was part of their design spec. The racetrack you can see here behind me, the students have never seen. Okay, so we are trying some firmware, we are trying the programs they've written for their buggies, on buggies we have here on campus, but on a track it was not designed for. And this is one of the most exciting things about the race. We expect the unexpected. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of the performance on the track, but I should stress, the students hadn't designed their buggies to necessarily go under tunnels or go round corkscrews, as you see at the back there. So this is a test of the robustness of the systems that they've built. Okay, but it's a fun environment, okay? So we do time the event, we do record the times, and there will be an ultimate winner. But ultimately, every single group that has built their buggy this year has made their own successes. Now, I should stress that we are having a very different type of race here today. Normally, we'd be having around about 250 staff and students here in the Great Hall. Unfortunately, today we're only permitted to have 10 people, and as you can see, we are all having to follow some very strict health and safety guides. So, first of all, I would like to say how sorry I am that we can't have the staff and students with us here today. A bit later on, I will provide some further details on the many different people we have to thank for this project. But for the time being, I would just like to thank the people at the university, within the department and the faculty and the campus management group, who have gone through an awful lot of work to make sure that we can have this race taking place here today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have 10 groups that are all having the opportunity of testing their firmware on the track. And we're going to start with the slowest time from Wednesday and work our way up to the fastest time towards the end of the session. So if I can turn to Zach, who is in charge of programming the buggies. Zach, do we have the first set of code ready to go? Yep. We do, and this is group? Yep. This is group 13. Okay, so this is the buggy for group 13. So without further ado, I'll have Zach place the buggy on the track. Okay, so we're safely around the first part of the course now. Ooh. This is where we talk about expecting the unexpected. So we have an unexpected turnaround there. So we will permit markers to replace the buggy. That's not a problem. As I say, this is not assessed. This is purely for fun. So in the event where something unexpected does happen, as long as the buggy can continue, it'll be replaced by the nearest person to it, and it'll be allowed to continue. Yes, there's a very nicely controlled climbing of the slopes there. And then we're back onto the final straight now. Fantastic. So congratulations to that group. That was an absolutely excellent performance. Okay, there was a slight intervention needed, but I should stress where that intervention was needed was the tunnel. Students were not prepared for a tunnel. Okay, this was not part of the criteria they were asked for assessment for. This is part of the unexpected that we generally see on the race day. Solomon, do we have a time there? 2 minutes and what, sorry? 2 minutes, 15? So 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so very well done there. I'd just like to take the opportunity to stress once again while we're preparing the next buggy. The students who have built the code that has gone onto these buggies have not been on campus at all this year. So they have never had the opportunity to come in themselves to test their programs on real track. Okay, we have sent them the hardware at home, and they have worked together in groups remotely, often across different cities, different countries, perhaps even different time zones, and they've worked together to make something work in the way that we expect it to work. Okay, the behavior that we're seeing from the buggies today is entirely consistent with what we would have seen from students who'd had access to campus as well. So that is all credit to the students that have been involved, and all credit to the staff members, many of which who are here behind me today, who have been on campus conducting testing on their behalf with the students over a video link as well. So thank you to everyone involved with that. Zach, are we preparing the next buggy now? And this is group 17. So next we have group 17. So Zach is going to place the buggy for group 17, and then we will start timing when it's ready to go. So in line with expecting the unexpected, we just have some issues with programming the buggy over here. Are we all good? Okay, so we've started with fingers crossed from the technician over there, which is a great way to start a test. So here we go. And off we go. Okay, so here we come to the ever tricky tunnel. And we're through there without any problems. And we're successfully up the ramp there. And onto the final straight. So fantastic. So very well done to that group. So as you saw there, we had a complete navigation of the track there with absolutely no interference with the buggy needed whatsoever. Solomon, do we have a time there? 2 minutes 36. 2 minutes 26. Sorry, we're working under the masks, and social distancing does not make it easy to understand one another. So that's 2 minutes and 26 there from that group. So while we're preparing the next buggy, I would just like to explain for the benefit of the visitors we have here today, some of which I've received some messages from stating their participation today. The way in which these students have worked in this year is to participate remotely over video link with staff who are here on campus, many of whom are here today behind me. Unfortunately, we've not been able to accommodate everyone here in the Great Hall who has played a part in the Embedded Systems project. There's a lot of thank yous we have to give every year, and we will get to them as the session carries on. But today, after the people who have ensured that we can safely come onto campus, the next most important people who've made this possible are the graduate teaching assistants and also the academics and the staff who are associated with the Puzzle Bot. Okay, the Puzzle Bot is the robot platform that's being used here today. So I'd just like to thank Dr. Stanku, who's at the back over there, and his team who are with me in the Great Hall today, for their work with the Puzzle Bot and their work with liaising with the students, working with them. First of all, giving them some excellent simulation tools that they're able to use. But then secondly, arranging the distribution of nearly 100 robots all over the world. So we've posted these Puzzle Bots to countries all over the world. And students have been working to essentially test their firmware. They've been working to test their programs in their home or in their outdoor space or whatever space they do have. And they've been working with the staff here who've been on campus, as I say, some of those who are here with me today. And they've had very limited testing time as a result of that. Most groups have had as little as 1 hour of testing time on actual track. So they've been very reliant on what they can do at home. And I should stress, when the buggy is going round, it is only following the line. Okay, it knows nothing else about the geometry of the track whatsoever, other than it is following a white line. Okay, so what we're seeing here is how well that algorithm has been coded and how robust that algorithm is to things like sunlight. Now, in Manchester, it's very rarely sunny, but typically come race day, we have lots of sun, we have lots of clouds. The weather tends to make it as difficult as it possibly can. But in this circumstance, you may see a buggy doing some oscillations, some minor deviations from the line as it goes on. That is where the buggy is correcting its course. So what we would like to see is that a buggy stays close to the line. There might be some oscillation. In some cases, we might see bigger oscillations happening. But what you're seeing there is the buggy responding to correct its course. So are we ready for the next team, Zach? So we have group 23 now ready to start. And we're off. Okay, and we're here onto the final straight then. So it doesn't look like we have any dramas from this buggy either. And we have finished. So once again, well done to that group all the way around without any intervention needed. We have a round of applause from everyone here. That's good to see. 2 minutes 25. So that's 2 minutes and 25 seconds. So very well done there. So while we get the next buggy ready, it's perhaps best if I explain the next part of the support that the students receive for this project. Now, forgive me, I'm going to have to refer to some notes to make sure that nobody's missed here. But each group of students is associated with an academic supervisor, a tutor. We have 12 of those that work with the students and meet with the students every week. And I would just like to thank them for their involvement, both from myself and the other coordinators on this unit, and also on behalf of the students who are watching. So I'd like to offer my thanks to Imad Al-Sousa, Judith Apsley, Peter Green, Wu Liang Yin, Alexandru Stancu, Wu Qiang Yang, Kriko Azanyan, Mike O'Toole, Hayu Lee, Laith Danoon, Jayawan Wijakun, and Jirun Hu. So thank you very much for all of you for your support of these teams this year. I hope that some of you are able to join us today on the stream. I know some of you have mentioned that you will be doing. If I could just answer one or two quick queries that I've had come in by email about the process. So the buggies themselves, yes, as I mentioned before, they're following the white line, but the way in which they're doing that is perhaps different to the way in which has been asked of me. So these buggies do not have any cameras on them. Okay, they're not using an array of pixels as such. They're using a strip of line sensors, so that they are using pixels, but they're actually very, very coarse pixels. So what we have at the front of the buggy is a strip of individual line sensors that can essentially return some information about how bright or dark the surface that sensor is over. So we allow students to use a maximum of 7 line sensors for the Puzzlebot platform. So what their microcontroller, and that's what they've been programming, has to do is to read from these 7 line sensors. They can use less if they want, and to determine where they think the white line is based on sensor data. Okay, so we're looking at individual pixels of a very thin linear strip, rather than looking at something like an image, a graphical image. Okay, so that's the basis by which that is happening. Zach, are we ready to go with the next group? Yep. And this is group 31 now. Yep. 3, 2, 1, Okay, so we're off to a very good start with the buggies we've seen so far today. We've not had very many surprises. Apologies, I've just been corrected. This is group 27. Sorry to the groups that are watching there. This is group 27. 34 are coming next, apparently. Okay, we're through the tunnel again. So I should stress, based on what I just said, the tunnel does present an additional challenge for the line sensors, because they have to be calibrated to the lighting conditions. So whilst we can do our best to make sure the students are able to calibrate them to the ambient light, of course, when it goes under a tunnel or under something that obscures that light, it can have the potential to confuse the sensors. And so what we've seen here is that the vast majority of the buggies that have gone under there have been robust to that, which is fantastic. And we're through onto the final straight again. And we have finished. Well done, that group. Sullivan, do we have a time? 2 minutes 33. So that's 2 minutes and 33 seconds there for that group. So very well done. Once again, we managed all the way around there without any intervention. That really is a testament to the robustness by which these programs have been written. So while we prepare the next group, I would just like to take the opportunity to just thank one more group of people who've been instrumental in us being able to deliver the project in its form for this year. So as I mentioned before, we've sent out of the order of 100 PuzzleBot robots all over the world, and that was an enormous logistical challenge. So I have to thank some of the people who are here with me today in the hall, the PuzzleBot team, for putting the PuzzleBots together, quite literally, into their boxes and sending them out to students, and providing the students, of course, with the instructions and the support they need to do that construction in their homes. But I would also like to thank all of the staff that made that distribution possible. So that covers a whole load of people, and I'm terribly sorry if I forget anybody here, but that goes out to Sam Walsh, our experimental officer, who has facilitated the shipping out, all of the people in stores and in goods outwards who have liaised to make that possible, and all of the people in the teaching and learning office here at the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, who have integrated with that process and made sure we have all the right details of the students to send the buggies to. So I'd just like to thank everybody for their facilitation in making sure these buggies go out. As you can see from what we're looking at here today, without the students having access to those buggies to test in their home environment, we would not have a race day, and we would not be able to demonstrate to those watching what our students are capable of, not just technically in terms of what they can achieve when they put their minds to it, but also more practically in terms of how they can achieve it with groups working remotely and across different time zones. So, Zach, are we ready with the next group? This is 31. So I've been assured this is group 31. So group 31, if you're watching, this is your buggy. And once again into the final straight. And complete. Fantastic. Well done, that group. Sullivan, do we have a time? 2 minutes 30. That's 2 minutes and 30 for that run. So once again, well done. We're all the way around there without any interruptions that are needed. If I can just perhaps take a moment to talk about some of the technology that exists on the buggy and some of the things that the students have been implementing. So I've spoken a little bit about the line sensors, about the seven line sensors that the students have been using to detect the white line. I've also spoken about the algorithms that they've written in order to find where that white line is. They've had to do a lot more than this in terms of just setting this up. So they're also having to control the speed of the buggy. So they're having to read back real-time speed information. This is particularly important at areas like here, where we come down the slope. Without this speed control, the buggy would just, the force of gravity would essentially accelerate the buggy faster and faster down the slope. And if that isn't properly handled, the algorithms that we're talking about that have been implemented can be terribly confused by how quickly they should follow the line. Okay, the algorithms that have been implemented need to know the speed of the buggy. So it's absolutely critical that the speed of the buggy is controlled at all times. There is, of course, a trade-off. More often than not in these circumstances where we can have a buggy go faster, but actually it will be less responsive to the environment around it. And of course, that is always a bit of a gamble, And what we've seen here today are some very, very good control algorithms. We've seen some very good tracking of the line. We haven't really seen any buggies that have lost the track or have done anything to the contrary of that. So what we've seen here is some very, very good engineering. Yes, it is a race, but at the same time, we've seen every group, albeit one with a minor intervention, be able to get around the track without any problems. Zach, are we ready for the next? Yep. And this is group 32 now. Okay, so we have an intervention needed here with a lost line, and a further intervention here. Ooh. Okay, so Ahmed, just give it. Yeah, please do carry on. Yeah, we'll allow the buggy to advance to the bottom. It has incurred a timing penalty from this, and if the buggy can continue, it'll be allowed. If not, we'll retire it. Give it one last chance. See, the buggy is recovered. It's tracking the line again. Now, I think Zach is perhaps in a position to nudge the buggy, if it will follow. Our risk assessment shows that Zach is using an antiseptic wipe before he touches the buggy, with Ahmed having touched it. So I think unless we have anything that suggests this buggy will continue, Zach, I think we may have to consider retiring it. I think one of the screws got slightly loose. Right, well in that case, I don't think we'll punish the group for that. So okay, I think we have a mechanical problem with the puzzle bot, so we'll allow this group to go again. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll have that corrected, and we'll have somebody replace the puzzle box. Okay, so we're just replacing the firmware on a different buggy now, while we repair the first buggy that went out. Okay, we're just issuing some corrections for some sun on the track. You can always guarantee that whenever we have sun in Manchester, it'll be when we're all stuck indoors doing a race where we need the lighting to be consistent. It's made an improvement, but like everything else in Manchester, we assume there'll be a cloud coming along before we know what's happening anyway. Yeah, that's an improvement. Thanks, Roloff. No, we're not, no. Okay, so we're ready to go with a replacement puzzle box. Yeah, I think we should allow them to start again. We'll allow them to, we'll allow a completely new run for this buggy. So we're starting again with this run. Apologies to that group. You have a fresh buggy. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. And we are starting. Okay, so we're getting past the point where we lost the buggy before. And we're successfully up the ramp there and onto the final straight. And we're stopped. Fantastic. Sullivan, how was that? 2 minutes and 8. 2 minutes and 8. Very well done. That looked a bit fast to me as well. So very well done to that group. I'm sorry about your first run, but I'm glad that you managed to get a complete run in there. So as we move on to the next group, I mentioned earlier on we had the heats, the qualifications for the race take place on Wednesday of this week. This also took place on campus. So again, I would like to thank those that were able to facilitate that to happen safely. I'm in a position now where we can release to the students who are in the top 4 positions in terms of time from the heats tracks. So coming in at number 4 was group 32 with a time of 27.2 seconds. So very well done there. Number 3 was group 38, coming in at 27.16 seconds, so very, very close there. Coming in second was group 35 at 26.9. And coming in first with an incredibly impressive time, group 42, who completed in a very impressive 23 seconds, which is a significant margin there, and actually very close to Dr. Edouard Codres, who is with us today, who is going to have the final run with his tuned firmware to see if we can set a timed lap on the track here. So very well done to those students, though, and of course not just to those who qualified for the race, but also for everyone for their work in that final technical demonstration. We saw some excellent work that was being undertaken, and it's important to stress here that what we're seeing, everything we're seeing the buggies do, is what the students have told them to do. Okay, there's nothing on this buggy that we have given them that will do anything for them The students are the ones that have implemented the code, that have implemented the functionality to make the buggies do what they do. Okay, and it's important that I do stress that. Okay, so which group are we here then? This is group 33 now. We have an angry buggy. Okay, so it's possible this team have used a slightly different wiring configuration when implementing this buggy, so Zach's just making that change now just to see if that is making a difference. Okay. So while Zach just checks the firmware there and sees if we can solve this with the firmware upgrade, it's probably worth specifying for the participants who are unfamiliar with the project and unfamiliar with the robot. The puzzle bot has two motors, but they are driven independently to one another, so they don't share a common axle. So it is important that they are both driven at well-controlled speeds in order to keep the buggy going straight and for cornering. When that doesn't happen, of course, we see things like what you just saw there, where we see spinning, where we see more wild behavior from the buggy as well. So just worth stressing there that even having the buggy follow a straight section of line is in itself a significant challenge. Okay, so here we go again then. Okay. I think we may retire group 33 and continue then. Shall we? Yeah, if that's okay, Zach. If we retire group 33 and continue to the next group. Okay, so we have our first casualty on race day. Apologies to group 33 there. So we're going to group 35 next. So group 35, if you're watching, you will be up next. As I said earlier, there are a lot of thank yous that we have to give for making not just the race day, but the project possible. I want to stress the entire track that you see in front of you today. Every aspect of it was built yesterday by our mechanical workshop here at the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering. So I'd like to offer our collective thanks to them for putting aside their time for building the track. I should stress this normally happens once a year, so it's not the sort of job that they routinely have to put together. But of course, last year we very sadly had to cancel race day at very short notice due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and the complete closure of campus. So actually, it's been 2 years now since the workshop put together the track. Regardless, they've done an excellent job putting together a track. It challenges the buggies in lots and lots of different ways. And again, we would like to thank them for their time and their expertise in putting that together. So this is now group 35 now. And we are away. It's worth stressing here, group 35 were our silver medalists in the heats on Wednesday. No pressure. Oh, minor intervention there. Should stress that we very nearly had a serious casualty in testing this morning at that corner. So thankfully, once again, have to thank the mechanical workshop for joining us at short notice to put a much needed fence there. Otherwise, we'd had another casualty. So that's a successful completion there. So Sullivan. That's 2 minutes 26 there. So once again, very well done. Very well done. It's worth just stressing and worth highlighting that the corkscrew at the back over there, I'm sure it's furthest away from your picture, so it might not be the clearest. But it does present a number of challenges to the buggy that aren't seen anywhere else on the course. So it has turns, for sure, very tight turns. It also has a ramp as well. And you'll also note that it has varying light conditions as well. So as we face it with the camera to the left, there are windows. Above it, there are other sections of track. So it really does test the firmware that the groups have put together in many ways. And I'm pleased to see we've had very, very good performance from the groups while they've been doing this so far. So is this our final group now, is that? Second to last, okay. So this is group 38 now. getting very overcast here in Manchester now, which can make all the difference to these sorts of buggies. We see a very successful climb there, regardless of those changing light conditions. And we are coming into the finish line. So very well done again to that group. 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So once again, very well done there. Very well done. And again, there were some very tricky lighting conditions as that group were undertaking their run there. Of course, the weather is notoriously unpredictable in Manchester, but it makes a huge impact on the performance of these buggies. So again, that shows some very robust design work by that group. It's probably just while we're preparing the next buggy worth stressing and paying tribute to some of the work that's been undertaken by the students. So the students watching will know exactly what's been asked of them this year. The staff watching will know similar. But to the guests and to the others that I've been receiving messages and questions from today, this project has run throughout the entire academic year. Normally we split our work into semesters that run until Christmas and then from Christmas to the summer. But this project has been started in September, early October time. And in semester one, students were putting forward rigorous design work to actually design their own buggies. So they've conducted flipped and remote labs. They've done PCB design, they've done simulation, they've done testing, they've done the various calculations, the CAD, all associated with what would happen in a normal race day, where we see their custom buggies being used in this final race. Now, all that design work did take place in semester one, and we had 44 very credible buggies designed. So very well done to all of the groups for their work there. As we'll be aware, the circumstances for semester two were not how we would have liked them to have been. We would have always liked the students to have been able to come on campus, but unfortunately the wider circumstances have prohibited that. So what they've been working with in semester two is programming the PuzzleBot robots. Now, I'd like to stress to anybody watching, the students themselves will know the level of work that's involved in that. But what we're actually asking them to do there, apart from the bit of screwing it together, is the same. Okay, all of semester two would have been spent programming buggies. The work goes into putting the algorithms inside, interfacing the hardware, troubleshooting the hardware, and that is what the students have spent the semester doing. And we've seen here today, they've made excellent work with that, not just the groups that have been shown here today, but the groups that we've seen elsewhere in the semester. We've seen some excellent videos of buggies performing. Some of their tutors have corresponded with me and stated how impressed they've been with the level of work from the students. And I personally, as well as Dr. Van Silfout and Dr. Stanku, who have been coordinating the embedded systems projects this semester, we've all been very impressed with how the students have undertaken this project and in the circumstances that they've been undertaking them in. So finally, I would just like to offer our collective thanks as unit coordinators to all of the students involved in this process for your hard work and your strong level of engagement. And although you're not here to share with us today your successes, we're here to celebrate and showcase them regardless. Okay, so we're at the final group now, Isaac. So this is group 42, so we'll start the final run now. We're going to get started with group 42. Okay, we'll try again with the right switch, maybe. That will do it. Ooh, we have some unpredictable behavior there. Yeah. No, just yeah, we're carrying on. Yeah, the timing, just for the benefit of everyone watching us, the timer does continue once the buggy starts. So although Zach has placed the buggy further down the track, it will have incurred a timing penalty as a result of the corrections that have been applied. Okay, we have a further intervention there. Oh. Okay, so I think somehow maybe we'll bypass the ramp and start it at the bottom of the ramp now then. So I think I can only guess here, but I think what we're seeing there is the collision avoidance that the buggy implements, perhaps being coming into place as it comes down the ramp, and perhaps seeing the track in front of it at the angle it's coming down. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll just permit this group a reboot of their microcontroller to see if this can pick things up for them. Just a slight dance towards the end there, just to show all's well with the buggy. And we are over the line. So, Sullivan, do we have a time there? So 3 minutes 47. That's 3 minutes and 47 seconds there. I should stress that was probably the most troublesome run that we've had, which for itself for ESP Race Day is something of a rarity. But I would like to stress that actually following the line, the buggy did very well. And I think obviously it's difficult to troubleshoot exactly what happened there, but I think what we saw were various aspects of the course, whether it was the arch bridge, whether it was the corkscrew, were troubling the buggy. Now, I want to stress again, this is a course the students have not had any opportunity to practice on. Okay, so what we're seeing here is how well their firmware works that they designed for a specific course on a course that we've just thrown at them. And I think, although that buggy did require help, I would like to say well done again to Group 42 for designing a buggy that was capable, albeit with some help, of navigating around the track. So I think that was our last group. Yeah, that's fine. So now the groups have had their run. So Edward is going to have a run with his buggy. So Edward is part of the Puzzlebot team. Edward, correct me if I'm wrong. You've been using the same programming techniques and the same libraries the students have. Is that right? Yeah. So Edward is here to show, broadly speaking, what can be done. Of course, we don't know what will happen. Of course, we have the same uncertainties, but we'd like to have an idea as to kind of what we think the better performance on the track might be. That's perhaps a loaded statement and puts a lot of pressure on Edward here, but we'll soon find out how his code handles the track. Okay, so we have our final run. So this is a staff entry for avoidance of doubt here. So the tension's always higher with a staff entry, of course. Here we are onto the final straight. No time for that? Okay, so we have 2 minutes and 8 seconds recorded there. So thank you very much. So that we have 2 minutes and 8 seconds for Edouard there. I'd like to put that into context then with the student times that you've seen. We have Edouard has been able to test his buggy on campus. Okay, he's not necessarily had the access to the racetrack that you might think he has, but nonetheless he has had access to train his buggy on campus and to tune his buggy on campus. So I hope that highlights the successes of the students who have not had that ability and have nonetheless provided a buggy that is capable of navigating the track here today. Solomon, can I trouble you for a top 3 if you have that available for you before we finish up today? Just give Solomon a moment to a moment to work that out. Okay. Oh, sorry. Forgive me. Okay. So while Solomon's calculating that, we're going to have a prototype fast run now. So we have a second staff entry, which has different motors. Okay. So it's quite a different. Is it a different buggy then? It's fair to say. Okay. So this, I should stress, is a different buggy. Okay. It might look the same, but it's configured slightly differently with different hardware. So we have just one final run here where we have what the team are regarding as a fast run. Obviously, we'll wait and see what happens. Hopefully, it will be a fast run. So Edouard's going to time this one while Solomon's doing the top 3. Okay, you'll see as the buggy travels faster, the deviations it makes are more violent, which makes the control algorithm much more important. It has to be implemented very, very carefully in these circumstances. And we are finished. So what was the time there, Edouard? So that was 1 minute and 16 seconds. So that's a huge difference there. But I do want to stress once again, that is not purely down to software. Okay, there was also a hardware change there. So we're not testing like for like there with what the students have been using. Nonetheless, hopefully you've been able to see, kind of what the puzzle bot is capable of with the right hardware and the right software. Solomon, do we have the top 3 now from the race performance today? So we're starting with third, I think, Solomon. Sorry. So group 38 are in third place with 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So very well done there. And in second place, group 13, 2 minutes 18 seconds. 13. 15, forgive me, 2 minutes 15. Sorry, this is not built for social distancing and masks. So very well done to that group there as well. And then in first place, yeah. So that's group 32 with 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So very well done, very well done. So it gives me great pleasure to announce that Group 32 are the winners of the 2021 Embedded Systems Project Race. So very well done to that group. Once again, very well done to all groups, both those that were here at the race today and those that did not qualify for the race. I'd once again like to recognise Staff and students this year have been working under some very arduous circumstances, and it's fantastic that we've been able to come together and celebrate the achievements of the students. So on behalf of the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I'd like to reiterate how proud we are of our students and all of their achievements. We look forward to the hopeful possibility of welcoming you all back on campus again sometime soon. But in the meantime, I would like to say thank you, and everyone stay safe. Thank you.